It's discouraging to see people getting in to the police force, and when you look at their history, they really should not be in the first place. But organizations are way too focused on DEI, way too focused on a 50-50 male female ratio. So they consistently, continuously lower the standards just to get the numbers in. So this story is talking about how police officers who do not pass background checks to be automatically sacked. And they should bring this in Australia, in Queensland too. Home Secretary Yvette Cooper has said a new law allowing police officers who fail vetting to be automatically sacked will help heal damaged public trust. Like, this is why we need it here. The law change will mean passing background checks becomes a legal requirement for all serving officers across England and Wales. You would think it'd already be in there. Eh? Cooper told Metro the move would end the extraordinary situation where those with a history of allegations of domestic abuse, sex offending, or other concerning intelligence have been able to keep their job. Met Police Commissioner Sir Mark Rowley said the ability to hold a vetting clearance is the most basic indication of whether someone can be trusted to hold the extensive and often intrusive powers that police officers are given. Remember that term, because this is what police officers, I think, often overlook. They neglect to recognize. Their powers that they are given are extensive and very intrusive. They intrude on the public's lives. And it is frustrating when you see officers intruding in extreme matters, intruding extremely into the minutiae of an individual's life, and then you learn that that person is not fit to be a police officer because of their own background, because they're not even, they don't even fit the bill. They would never have passed proper vetting. They shouldn't have passed proper, thorough vetting in the first place. I find it frustrating. Anyway, we'll go on with this. It was never right that an officer could lose their vetting but not lose their job. So my experience, now I can't go into the minutiae of the specific job that I'm about to tell you about, but I'll give you some of the broad strokes. So we were conducting an investigation. There was an officer, a police officer, who it appeared that this police officer may have been a plant for an organized criminal organization. A criminal organization. So this officer was alleged, was passing on information. And when we were investigating and conducting surveillance, this officer, looking at this officer's background, obviously you're given all the background of this officer, and you're given everything, all the details, the evidence so far, what the allegations are, complete background of the officer. Looking at the officer, you could see that this officer was passing on, looking up things, subjects, like within 2 weeks of coming out of the academy. This officer was looking up subjects that a very junior officer really shouldn't even have any idea about. Shouldn't know anything about some very quite high level members of specific organized criminal outfits. So this officer was looking up details of these people, and this had gone on for several years. I think like 7 years. Now, when we were investigating, we found all this information. Obviously, other people had found this information. Everything was raised, flags were raised, investigations started. When you looked at this officer's history, you realized that this officer had details in their history that should have negated them joining the police force, the Queensland Police Service, in the first place. When human resources or whoever it was doing the vetting of this specific police officer, wannabe police officer, they should have looked at their background and said, no, this police officer has drink driving in their background. So right then and there, it should have been, this officer does not fit the profile for a police officer. Okay, it does not meet the vetting. Also, in the vetting, they would have seen, it was easy enough to see that this police officer had a relationship with members of organized crime. It was there in black and white. You could see it. They had relationships with a number of members connected to organized crime. The police officer still made it through vetting, went through the academy. Only a couple of weeks out of the academy, starts sharing information. 7 years later, I think it was 7 years, we're investigating, surveillance are investigating. And I'm looking at this, reading all this, saying, well, okay, this officer, it shouldn't even have to be investigated. This officer should just be immediately stood down because they would never have passed, they should never have passed the vetting process. And the people who were vetting, doing the vetting, undertaking the vetting process, they should be investigated because how did they overlook? How were they able to overlook the history of this person? The problem is when this person was brought into the Queensland Police Service, this was also in the midst of when our hierarchy, the senior officers, the upper echelon had decided that they wanted a more of a 50-50 split of male-female. So they had lowered the standard because they wanted more females in. And when you lower the standard across the board just to get more females, we had a flood of people entering the police service, male and female, who would never have made it through the police only several years earlier if they had been vetted properly. But they had lowered the standards, so they'd stopped vetting properly, and we had an increase in police who should never have been in there. And this was the case with this officer who we are now investigating. This officer, obviously, allegedly, passing information to the organised criminals, to the members of organised crime gangs who this officer was always involved in. Always. So that's why I wanted to talk about this story last from the UK. I think this needs to happen in Australia as well, across the board. If you fail vetting, out immediately. So look, I just wanted to share these stories. Let me know what you think. How do you think police in Queensland are going? Are they stepping up? Are they really showing that they want to be held accountable? Are they really actually doing that? I don't think they are. I think they're missing the mark. But police in general across Australia. And what do you think about what police in the UK are doing about, with the vetting process? And if you fail vetting, you're out immediately. DEI and the 50-50 process, the 50-50 ratio that police hierarchies insisted on implementing have been nothing but destructive to our police services. This is all my opinion. Please let me know what you think. I'm Jay Fallon. Thanks for listening to this Slippery Slope. And go and check out my music if you get a chance. I'm Jay Fallon.
They just fuel a desire that will take me higher. I'm on fire because nothing's going